Nobody's going to be more excited about those media guides than my mom on that one for sure. So growing up, I used to write to media relations and sports info offices requesting them to send me the media guides of those schools. So the thought of me being a head coach and not having a real hard copy media guide was hard to think about. So my mom will be excited, as will my wife as well. Appreciate everybody coming out. Great to have everybody here in person. Quick turnaround. We just literally finished a team meeting right where you guys are sitting here about 30 minutes ago. Great start to preseason camp with the initial team meeting that we just had, and appreciate you guys coming out right now as well to visit with me and our assistant coaches and then our players as well. As Coach Spurrier used to say, talking season is over. It is real, and we officially started it today and then practice tomorrow morning. It's obviously over in my family as well. We had a great recruiting day on Saturday and had a couple days where we just wanted to catch our breath before we started preseason camp today. So my wife and our 3 children went down to Kiowa for about 2 or 3 days here at the beginning of the week. Had a fantastic time as a family. We were out riding bikes on the beach a couple days ago, and my son, who turned 8 last weekend, he was riding alongside of me. He pulled up. He said, "Man, Daddy, I'm so excited about football season starting. I'm so excited for the Gamecocks," on and on and on. I was like, "Man, me too, man. I'm so excited. Can't believe it's here. Got a fun team. Can't wait to start practice." And then it kind of got quiet, and then he looked at me and he said, "Just try not to get fired this year." And true story. I wish that was a joke. So he's 8, and the honeymoon phase is clearly over in my house. So I know it is outside this building as well. But he's a competitor, and he's ready to get going, just like we all are as well. Spent last week at Gamecock Club events in Columbia, Aiken, Charlotte, and Charleston. Aiken, Augusta, Columbia. Charleston and Charlotte. It was awesome being able to get out and visit with so many Gamecocks. There's so much energy right now about South Carolina football. We had record-breaking sellout crowds at a lot of the events, and it was a lot of fun being able to get out and interact with our fans and face-to-face and in person and feel their energy. And like I told all those fans at the Gamecock Club events, there's a lot of energy about this program because of what's coming out of this facility and this building, but so much of that is because of our fan base and the energy and the excitement that they've created that is certainly felt across this state, across this region, and in recruiting as well. Been a fantastic summer. I want to commend Luke Day and his staff for what they did with our players in the weight room from a strength standpoint, from a conditioning standpoint. It was a long, hard summer. Our guys came back right after Memorial Day and cranked up there at the first week of June, and they've been nonstop since then. So fantastic the way that those guys worked, the effort they put into it, the way they came together as a team, the strides they made. We got a lot of individuals that got better as individuals and really took some giant steps. Position groups that took giant steps, and learned a lot about our football team as well. So now we take that, what we call basically the third quarter of the year, which is summer, and now we head right into preseason camp, which quote unquote is the fourth quarter in our minds. So we've really made strides this summer. The NCAA allows college football teams to do even more as a staff with the players during the summertime than it has in the past when I was an assistant coach here before. So we're farther along from a mental standpoint than we normally would be in a normal year, or we normally would have been a few years ago. We've been able to have walkthroughs, meetings, and things like that. So I feel like our guys are in a good place mentally. Our guys have done everything that we've asked since we got here in January and started this 2021 football team heading in this direction. They've been fantastic, and we got a lot of work to do. There's a lot that we have to get done between now and September 4th. We're nowhere close to being ready to play, but we're excited to start the journey as a football team tomorrow morning at 9:40 when we get out there on the field and get to do what we all love, and that's being out on the field and coaching football and our guys playing football. So again, fantastic job by Luke and his staff. They were awesome. Players have told me how good their bodies feel and how strong and in condition, in shape they are, and appreciate their efforts, our players over the summer, and what our strength and conditioning staff did as well. As far as the roster, everyone is here and everyone is accounted for except Isaiah Norris. He is finishing up some academic work, which should be done here in the next 48 hours. So we expect him to be here before long, before the end of the week for sure. He's the only guy that we're waiting on right now. From a health standpoint, we're pretty good, knock on wood, no major issues over the summertime. Guys that just aren't quite cleared 100% yet are Bam Scott, one of our signees. He's just finishing up things. He got in late, was not here all summer. He got in late, so he's just finishing up some things from the standard physical that a student athlete goes through before he's cleared to practice. Just waiting on a couple of those things to come back for him to be fully cleared. Bruce Staley is not full speed quite yet. Jakai Moore, as you guys know, did not finish spring practice. He looks great just watching him in the summertime work out and run around, but as far as being 100% cleared to practice, Jakai's not there yet. Patrick Reedy will be limited here and is out, I should say, for now. Kevin Harris had a minor procedure on his back over the summer just to clean up something that's been lingering and bothering him a little bit. He looks great, moves around great. He was in my office today begging Clint Haggard, our trainer, to let him practice tomorrow. He's not fully cleared yet to practice, but is on track, says he feels better than he ever has. Excited that we were able to get that cleaned up and that minor procedure that he got done. Fully expect him to be ready to go game one. And then the only other one would be Cam Smith. He aggravated his foot about a week ago, had a pretty simple procedure just to get that to where he can function going forward. He'll be out starting practice and not fully clear, but again, expect him to be ready for game one. Hopefully all those guys are attacking their rehab, and none of these injuries are things that we think are long-term. It's just some guys that aren't fully cleared to practice yet. But they're in camp, they're in meetings, and they're doing as much as they're allowed to do except being able to practice full speed. So couldn't wait to get going. We've got a lot of competition, like I've talked about before, at a lot of different spots. Normally when you come out of spring practice, you have an idea of who your starter is going to be pretty much across the board. We're not in that boat. The fact that we've got quite a few defensive backs that weren't here during spring practice, that position's wide open from a competition standpoint. Everywhere is. Like I said, we just finished up a team meeting, and in that team meeting we talk about how this program's about competition, and that's going to be evident on the practice field with the way that our guys are competing out there. Every day is a opportunity to get better. Every day is an opportunity to prove to us as coaches that you can perform and that we can count on you, and excited about what our guys are about to embark on as we start preseason camp and competing and seeing how this thing shakes out before we get ready to play Eastern Illinois on September 4th. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, David, with the first one.
Shane, you mentioned that you had the team meeting today, and then everybody but Isaiah is here. Just what's the overall prevailing mood for the guys? Does last year even come up among the veteran returnees?
No, I haven't brought it up, and they may talk about it. It's behind us. I think the mood be a great question for the players, but based on the way that they've worked this summer, the way that they've worked since we've been here, they're full speed ahead and not happy about what's happened here the last couple seasons, eager to get this program back to where it belongs and then some, reach a level that we haven't been before. And they've shown that to us with their actions, and I think they're certainly excited to get to work as well. Everybody was in this team meeting early and ready. We'd given them a little bit of time off this week. We had a fun day last Friday as a team, kind of celebrating the end of the summer, and then they had off Saturday, Sunday, and then a few days this week. So today was the first day seeing these guys in a few days, and everybody was here early and ready to roll.
Let's go way in the back, Mark.
Is it on? Oh, sorry. Hey, Coach. Mark Morgan with News 2 in Charleston.
Yeah, good to see you.
We talked last week about culture, right? You said that a lot. Do you feel like you had to be kind of a salesman almost in terms of culture, and specifically, what does culture mean to you?
Culture means to me is to me the environment that this facility is, what you feel when you walk in this building each and every day, and over time I think that becomes your culture, in my opinion. So when you walk in the doors of our facility, I would hope you would feel love. I would hope you would feel gratitude, positive energy, trust, toughness, accountability, competition. Those are the things that we want this program to be about, and to me, you do those over and over and over again, that environment over and over and over again, that becomes, your culture. And to me, no, I don't think I've had to be a salesman. To me, it's just being me each and every day, myself and our staff. That the players, it's certainly a feeling out process from the time I get here and we start everything. We talked about it in the very first team meeting back in December when I stood right here and told these guys that I'm not asking you to trust me right now. I'm going to earn your trust with my actions day in, day out. And when I tell you something, I'm going to back it up and not say one thing and do another. So to me, it's just more so not so much a sales job. It's just being consistent day in, day out about what we're about, what we want this program to be about, and our players seeing that consistency day in, day out.
Let's go over to the right, Hale.
You alluded to some individuals and some position groups as a whole that took some big strides this summer. Could you maybe name some specifics?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, Aaron Sterling is a guy that I thought had a fantastic summer and really committed to getting his body right, getting in shape, and making strides from that standpoint. Trey Atkins, who we awarded a scholarship to, earned that scholarship and didn't all of a sudden get complacent. He worked even harder after that and was one of the, most consistent guys we had all summer, day in, day out. We talk about grit around here a lot, and it's just the day-to-day doing what you're supposed to and being accountable. And Trey was one of those guys that was that guy day in, day out. Marshawn Lloyd trained like a man that hasn't played in a year and is ready to roll. Luke Doty. It was a lot of guys. It really was. And then, in position groups, certainly the receiver group, we've talked about them a lot, but, that receiver group is a group that is hungry and has a chip on their shoulder and is eager to show what they're about, and they worked that way this summer as well. So it was a lot of them. I'd like to say that there were a lot more that did things the right way, that had phenomenal summers than didn't, and that would probably be the case as well.
Way back left, John Whittle.
From a defensive back standpoint, you've only got a couple of guys who have much playing experience here. How do you go about the process of sorting out who does what, who plays where? Are there benchmarks that you set for guys over the course of the preseason that you want to hit as you build towards September 4th? Yeah,
great question. I think really it's just putting those guys in as many competitive situations as we can. And we weren't able to do this in spring practice because we didn't have enough bodies out there, but being able to, when we get into some of the 7-on-7 periods and the team periods, doing work on two different fields, where we have half the defense on this field and half the defense on the other field, where you're maximizing the reps and you don't have 4 defensive backs out there and then 15 guys standing around watching. You've got, if you got 5 offensive linemen, there's 10 guys getting reps every single play. So being able to just maximize those reps, and we talked about it in our staff meeting this morning, that don't assume anything as a staff. Don't have any preconceived notions that this is how it's going to work out. This may have been the 5 offensive linemen at the end of spring practice, but we've had a whole summer, and we've improved as a football team. So let's make sure we're going in there open-minded and everything is wide open. And defensive back is a great example because we do have so many new faces. And because we have so many new faces, we've got to put those guys in different situations. We've got to, get guys reps at corner. We got to get guys reps at nickel and corner. We've got to get guys reps at safety and nickel and things like that as well. So between the practices that we have, being able to do work on multiple fields at the same time, and then you're not allowed to have 2-a-days anymore, but walkthroughs, being able to do a walkthrough daily, we're able to put guys in a lot of different positions to see who can perform and who we can count on.
Pete Huckabelli.
Shane, obviously this is a different opening of fall camp for you than you've had in your career. How are your emotions going into it? Are you overly excited about it? Are you redoing plans, just to make sure you get it letter perfect? How are you handling this first camp for you?
Yeah, I would say overly excited, but trying to pace myself a little bit because we got a long time until we play a game as well. I'm a planner, so much of what we're doing, what we did today, I worked on back in the spring and the summer, and when spring practice finished, looking at things we liked and didn't like and how we want to utilize those going forward. You know, the practice schedules for every single practice in the month of August, they were done in May. In my mind, I mean, I woke up this morning, I couldn't sleep. I think I woke up at like 4:15 and just came into the office because I just had so much stuff on my mind. So normally you're always excited when you're coaching tight ends at Oklahoma or tight ends at Georgia or wherever. You're worried about, you know, your position group and making sure you know where to go in practice and what time meetings are. Now there's just so many things, which is no different right now. It's the way it's been every day, but there's so many things that are on your mind, and it's, oh crap, I forgot about that, and make sure I talk to this guy about that and stuff like that. So it's a lot of checking things off and rechecking things and going back through things and things like that. But certainly excited and very, you know, process oriented. There's a lot to get done between now and September 4th, but just focus on what's important right now and finishing up with you guys, which I'm loving every second of, and then get ready for position meetings and the team meeting we have tonight and practice in the morning and everything else as well. And then worry about, you know, the next day after that.
Ben Portnoy?
Yeah. Our closest to the pin winner has been trying to get a question in for 5 minutes. We need to give him more respect for his golf skills.
Shane, I guess I'll ask you the token. Are you guys at the 85% threshold yet? And then just on the second side of it, I mean, we've seen that, you know, in communities around the SEC that, you know, football teams have had higher vaccination rates than maybe around. Is that something you have to talk to your players about, just about being out in the community, being safe? And I know they've been through this, obviously, through last year, but how much is that something that maybe still has to be brought up a little bit?
Yeah, we talk about it quite a bit. We got a great group of leaders that, you know, we spend a lot of time with, just basically talking about making good decisions outside this building, and whether that's COVID related or just general good behavior conversations. We always have that, but certainly, you know, last year at this time, guys were leaving their facility at Oklahoma and they were going and sitting in their apartment in a room by themselves or dorm room, and things are a little bit different right now. So we've talked to our guys certainly about being responsible and making good decisions here in this facility, but then also being responsible and making good decisions outside this facility. But that's every year, 365 days a year for sure. And then as far as the where we are, we've got enough guys that are on track for their second shot that once they get that second shot, we will be well over the 85%. So if you say, are you at 85% because everybody's gotten fully vaccinated in 2 shots? Not at this moment, no. Are we on track to fly right past 85? Yes, once everyone that's already gotten their first shot gets that second shot.
Colin Taylor?
Shane, outside of obviously installing the offense, installing the defense, and getting better as a football team, what are some of the key priorities and key things that you want to accomplish over the next month before the season starts?
Yeah, installation, obviously, like you said, and we're pretty far along on that, especially being able to go back through spring practice afterwards, and what do we do well, what do we not do well, what do we need to emphasize more, what do we need to emphasize less. We did that, developing depth, you know, without a doubt, and making sure we got guys that can play multiple positions, and like we talked about with the defensive back position and all that, just figuring out, you know, who those guys are that we can count on week in, week out, and developing depth. Okay, these are our starting 11, then that next group as well, because, you know, we're gonna rely on everyone, you know, for sure. And then I think just the trying to create as many tough situations in practice as we can, and we tried to do that in the summer, just challenging our guys mentally and physically. And we talk all the time about, you know, to truly grow, you've got to have a great spirit about yourself and be uncomfortable, and that being uncomfortable leads to great growth, and trying to put our guys in situations in practice that, you know, are tough and challenging mentally and physically, because we want to create those now in August, because they're going to come up in Williams-Brice Stadium on September 4th, and they're going to come up in Greenville, North Carolina week 2, and they're going to come up in Athens, Georgia week 3, and just trying to prepare our guys as much for those moments as we can with things that we simulate in practice.
Phil Kornbluth?
I know what your fan base might consider to be a successful season, but what will you consider to be a successful season in your first year?
I got that one down. I got asked that like 8 times at SEC Media Day. To be the very best team that we can be, that was the number one question, and it's true. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say 7-5 would be a heck of a year for us, and now I'm telling the team that it's okay losing 5 games. I mean, we expect to win every single game that we play, and that's the mindset that we have as competitors. But to me, a successful season would be to maximize the ability and the potential of every single player, every unit, and the entire team. You know, and if I feel like we've done that, that'll be a successful season. And if we're able to do that, the wins will certainly take care of themselves.
Go back to left, Corey.
Shane, now that summer is over and you guys are getting ready to open up fall camp, from a support standpoint from the city of Columbia, what has stood out to you about the way the city has kind of rallied around you, your staff, and this football team as you get ready to start your era here? Yeah, it's been amazing, not just in Columbia, but everywhere that I go. I mentioned the Gamecock clubs last week, and, you know, it was awesome having so many people that came up to me and said they hadn't been a Gamecock club member in however many years, but they just joined. So many people that came up to me that said they haven't bought season tickets in X number of years, and they just joined again. So many great stories like that, which we appreciate each and every one of them, what they do for Carolina athletics and our program. We're so thankful for them. So I would say just that, and the way that they've welcomed, you know, my family, throughout the state. You know, wherever we go, you feel the energy. I knew how fantastic this fan base was when I was here before. Obviously realized it when I was gone, and it's been even more amazing than I can put into words since we came back. Everywhere we go, there's excitement, and like I said, I was down at Kiowa for a few days this week, and the amount of people that would pass me on a bike and yell "Gamecocks" or see us at a restaurant and yell "Gamecocks" and all that as well. It's been pretty awesome. We did have somebody that offered to let me live in their house as long as we won a certain number of games this year, next summer. So they're certainly they're excited, but they're also there's high expectations for this program, which we have as well.
Scott Iceberg in the back.
Shane, just wondering how much you've thought in-game coaching. I mean, this is a head coaching position. You have veto power on the headsets. You call for 2 or for 1, or how much have you thought about just that in-game head coaching that you don't have the experience with?
A lot, honestly, a ton. You know, when I had some downtime, I've told you guys before, I mean, we're still living in a condo right over there. And, you know, anytime there's a college football game on, I would record it and just watch it and put myself in that situation. Okay, I'm the head coach. How would I handle that situation? Thinking about the clock, things like that as well. So I've tried to do as much of that as I can. We'll continue to do more as we go through preseason, talking about the players and putting them in situations in practice, simulating situations in practice where I've got to be the head coach and make those decisions, doing as much of that as possible. And then I've had experience doing that. Not that I was making decisions at Oklahoma in game, but Lincoln gave me an assistant head coach title and relied on me in a lot of ways, you know, to do some stuff like that from a game management standpoint, which I appreciated. When I was at Virginia Tech, I had an associate head coach title, which my dad relied on me to not necessarily always make decisions, but he bounced a lot of ideas off of me. I was an interim head coach for one game, the 2014 Military Bowl, played Cincinnati and won. And I was the acting head coach in that game, so not that that's not the same as being the head coach in the SEC, but at least it's not going to be the first time that I make a decision whether to go for it on 4th down or kick a field goal. But certainly trying to do as much of that as you can and putting myself in situations. And there's a lot of different studies that we do as a staff about game situations that come across college football and the NFL, and that's something that I'll really attack, not just in preseason, but throughout the season as well. I mean, I've got time that I've already built into like my daily schedule in season during certain days of the week for just that, you know, game situations that come up across football in general.
Let's go to Mike, then Dick.
Shane, when you think about the success that you and your staff will need in terms of having to do to be able to be successful here, how important is it for that senior leadership to be able to step up, create the foundation this season moving forward, and how have some of those conversations been since you arrived here?
Yeah, they've been great. Great question. I met with those guys because it's unique. You've got the guys that are the super seniors that we call them, that it really is their last year, and then you've got the guys that kind of are seniors but have another year if they want it. So that's a whole other story. But I met early on with those what we call super seniors, the guys that this is their last year. The Nick Muses of the world, and the Jalen Fosters of the world, the Parker Whites of the world, and Sherrod Green. And I made it clear to them, like, this isn't some 2 to 3 year rebuild, that this is just a wash. Like, that's not fair to you. It's not fair to every player on this team. It's not fair to our fan base. Like, we're working every day to win right now and to send these guys out the right way. And we've recognized those guys in front of the team, and we've done some things with them individually to make sure they know how important they are to this program and their role on this team from a leadership standpoint. And then we've also, along with those guys, spent a lot of time with some of the other guys on this team that certainly have leadership roles, and we've made a big point of that. Derek Moore and Connor Shaw and Luke Day and Chip Morton have spent a lot of time with those guys, George Wynn, and just talking about leadership and what it looks like and what it means and things like that. Because the best teams I've been on, and they have fantastic leadership, from within, and this team has to have that as well, and so far so good.
Dick?
Last year, the players were asked basically to have a boring life, goodbye to your girlfriends, and a lot of those things. Are we to the point now to where they can go back to a normal college life, or will there still be restrictions?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of in general here at Carolina and across the community. I mean, we obviously follow the lead of Dr. Pastides and our university and any kind of protocols they put into place. I mean, we want our guys to be college students and enjoy being a college student and enjoy playing football at the University of South Carolina. But, at the same time, we're not naive to everything else that's going on, and we're asking those guys to be smart and make good decisions. And, I've been proud of them with the decisions that they've made and how they've handled their business this summer and things like that. But, regardless of what's going on the outside, we want to make sure that the time that they spend here in this facility each and every day, no disrespect to anything they've got going on outside this facility, but we want that to be the most enjoyable 4 hours or whatever it may be of their day each and every day with what we do here.
Go to Pete.
Shane, have you and Lincoln talked or texted about the potential of you guys being SEC rivals, division rivals, that kind of thing yet?
We actually haven't. I wish I could have a great story that we've talked and I've had all kinds of in-depth information for you and things like that. I haven't. He's got a team he's trying to get ready for, or a team he's trying to get ready, and I got a team I'm trying to get ready. And we talk pretty regularly, but we have not. We actually have not communicated since all that came out. I'm sure we will here soon because we usually talk regularly anyway, just about life in general and things like that. So I'm sure it'll come up in our next conversation, whenever that is.
Back to the left, John.
Piggybacking off Scott's question from earlier. When you're watching these games and putting yourself in that head coach position, are you noticing anything surprising about yourself? Are you going for it on fourth down a lot?
Yeah, I think I can make the fan base happy if I say we're going for it on fourth down a lot, right? So, no, I mean, I think it's game by game. It's the situation. It's a lot of it for me is just kind of paying attention to the clock and understanding how important 2-minute situations are and things like that. And obviously, I had a long conversation yesterday with Sylvester Kroom, who I worked for at Mississippi State, and gave me my first full-time job. And he called me, which I appreciated, and just talked about some of the mistakes he made year one, and we talked a lot about game situations and being aggressive and things like that. And that's certainly that we always want to be here at Carolina, be aggressive and give our guys the best chance to win football games, but also understanding the flow of the game and how your offense is playing, how your defense is playing, how you're doing on special teams, who you're playing, how they're playing. There's a lot of factors that certainly go into that. But I want to be aggressive, always have been, always will be. I'm not one of those guys just to sit back and try and wait for things to happen. I mean, we want to go make them happen.
Last question goes to Phil.
So we've had coaches here that paced the sideline for miles and drew plays in the sand and coached with a scowl on his face and yelled a lot. What's your sideline personality going to be during a game?
Good question. Me, I mean, kind of what you see is what you get, and I've always been a high energy guy, and certainly you've got to have. I want to maintain that. I don't want to be somebody on game days that I'm not. But also, as the head coach, you realize that every single person on the sideline and in the stadium and on TV is watching you, and if I'm going over there and it appears as if all heck's breaking loose and the world is collapsing around me, then that's probably not a good image to be going off. So certainly in control, but I can promise you this, I mean, I'm going to be locked in, but I'm going to have a whole heck of a lot of fun down there as well, hopefully with the way that we're playing and the effort that we're playing with and the way that we represent this great university and great program. And I'll be really happy when I see our guys out there playing with the effort that makes our fan base, proud to be Gamecocks.